thank you very, very much. Wow, it's a great, great, wonderful treat for me to be here with you.
We love you, Maurice.
It's a great pleasure and a great honor. We'll take pictures of that if you don't mind. Well, I've got a fairly extensive statement that I put together and talk about the things that we're involved in. So if you don't mind, that's what I'll do for now, and talk a little bit about it, and we can deal with anything else that we have to deal with in terms of questions and whatever else we have to engage in here. It's a big event for me. I was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives now almost 20 years ago. And it seems like about, half that or less than that. Time has gone by so very, 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 very quickly. And when I was first elected back in '92, I never thought that I would be here for 20 years. But that's the way it turned out. And I'm going to finish up this 20 years and talk a little bit about the things that I've been engaged in. So if you don't mind, is that okay? I can mention a few things. Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all very, very much for coming here today.
We want to thank you.
You surprised me, frankly. I'm very, very happy to see you. It's great to be here, and I thank you very much. So this year, of course, marks the 20th year that I've had the high honor of representing our part of New York in the United States House of Representatives. It's been the greatest privilege of my life to serve the residents of Ulster, as well as Orange, Dutchess, Sullivan, Delaware, Broome, Tioga, and Tompkins counties. It's a wonderful district with a great diversity. In fact, I first announced I was running for Congress 20 years ago at this exact location, the Senate House State Historic Site in Kingston here in New York. And as many as you know, I previously had the honor, thanks to the good people of Ulster County, of serving 18 years in the New York State Assembly, including 14 years as the chairman of the Environmental Conservation Committee, which was a very interesting dealing with the environment. Very, very interesting, and in many ways, many challenging. So never in my wildest dreams did I ever envision that I'd have such an extraordinary opportunity to serve my community, my state, and my country. So I have been, of course, very fortunate. My story is one of a kid from a working class family who enlisted in the Navy after high school, returned to work in a local cement factory here. But I had high hopes for myself and knew that a good education would lead to a better life. So I enrolled in SUNY New Paltz, worked that night shift at New York State Thruway toll booth so I could pay for school while also having time to study at night. My father always had a love of politics, and I always became involved in politics, eventually deciding to run for the New York State Assembly. And despite the fact that only one other Democrat, only one other Democrat, had been elected from that area since the Civil War, I gave it my best and was very helpful, very successful. None of that. Time time of change, you know. None of that would have been possible without an education and without an undying love for my state, the region here, my cities, my towns, and my country. I hope that my story inspires many others to take up public service and to give back their community, state, and country. Despite all the turmoil, rancor, and pettiness we see in politics today, I still believe in public service. To me, there are few things nobler than a person who chooses to serve their community. Whether it is in public service, at a public agency, or school, the military, or even volunteering through a local charity, we need more people to choose those paths and become strong, effective voices for the middle class. As you all know, I went through a fairly serious health challenge during this past year. I can't help but laugh a little bit about that. During that time, I received an outpouring of support, and I am forever grateful for all the well wishes and prayers that I received. Such support helped get me through this. For that, I'm very extremely grateful and very extremely fortunate. This life-changing experience helped put everything in perspective for me. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day things in life, but this past year provided me with an even greater appreciation for my family, my friends, and quite frankly, my time. So I stand here before you today to announce that I will not seek re-election to the U.S. House of Representatives this fall, and will retire from Congress at the conclusion of my current term. While I am very hard to leave a job I truly love, I know in my heart of hearts that now is the right time for me to move on. It's the right time for me to move on, especially in my age. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Just 73, but you know. I am also very much aware of the upcoming redistricting process. I feel, frankly, very strongly that the integrity of the 22nd District, which had encompassed the same general area for 4 decades, should be preserved and remain largely intact. I make this announcement now out of my respect for that redistricting process and my colleagues in the New York congressional delegation. I do not know, nor do even those directly involved in the process know, how redistricting will shape out. But I do feel that it is fair for those important upcoming decisions to be made with my future plans publicly known. We're going to lose two positions here in the course of it for New York. Before I go any further, I want to thank the people of New York's 22nd District and the people of the former 26th District who put their trust in me to be their representative. And I am deeply grateful for that. I am forever grateful for their support over the years. They afforded me the opportunity, basically, of an extraordinary lifetime. Whether it was marching in the Columbus Day Parade in Binghamton, strolling around the Ithaca Commons, walking across the walkway over the great Hudson River of ours, or simply running into people at the grocery store. I have truly enjoyed meeting so many extraordinary people over the years who have inspired me to fight effectively on their behalf. I worked as hard as I could for them each day, trying to be as effective of a voice as I could possibly be. They were always and continue to be at the front of my mind and the focus of everything I do in Congress. I always went to express my overwhelming gratitude to my staff, and I thank that very much. I mentioned both current and former members in my congressional and assembly offices. None of the things I achieved during my time in public office would have been possible without their tireless efforts. These men and women, you see them all around here, these men and women worked extremely hard over many long hours. They are very dedicated, talented, and committed people. I am so thankful for their support and help over these nearly 4 decades that we've worked together. I'm very proud of the many accomplishments I've achieved during my time in Congress. From securing the designation of I-86 and obtaining billions of dollars in federal investment across this great district, in the cleanup of PCBs in the Hudson River, to develop in the Hudson River to develop a cluster of solar energy companies in upstate New York, to my work on protecting our nation from hydraulic fracturing and many other critical initiatives. It's been a challenging and a very, very interesting set of circumstances here. In the case of I-86, I and the late Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan authored legislation designating New York Route 17 as Interstate 86. This is something that I thought was very important to do. When I was first elected in '92, in '93 I introduced this legislation to make Route 17 Interstate 86, make it an interstate highway. And I introduced that right there. One of the first things that I did when I first came in order to bring increased economic activity to the Southern Tier and Catskill regions. In 1998, the 381-mile stretch of Route 17 was set on a path to becoming I-86, making it eligible for a wide array of new federal funding. The conversion of Route 17 to I-86 is going to provide a federal interstate connection from I-90 to Erie, Pennsylvania, to I-87 at Harriman, New York. So it's a very important operation. There's an awful lot of things that are being going on there. You go through Sullivan County, you see all the work that is being done there and the improvement of this highway. It's becoming much better. The New York State Department of Transportation is currently planning a major reconstruction project for Prospect Mountain in Binghamton, New York, which will create more than 200 jobs. That's going to be started this spring to achieve that situation, and that's going to pretty much make this system, the interstate highway system that it is, and make it a lot better, more secure, and a lot easier. So I am very proud of the fight I led first in Albany and later in Washington to force General Electric to pay for and clean up the 1.3 million pounds of PCBs it dumped into the Hudson River between 1947 and 1977. Dating back to my days as chair of the State Assembly Environmental Conservation Committee, I fought against numerous attempts to delay and narrow the cleanup process and worked tirelessly to make sure the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency had GE responsible for the cleanup. Today, the second and final phase of the cleanup process has begun, and its commencement is an important step toward removing the PCB contamination that has plagued this great Hudson River for many decades, and restoring the river to the great natural resource it once was. It's a very, very positive thing that is being done after a very strong, hard fight to get it done. There are so many other accomplishments of which I am very proud and could mention, but I did want to note one other in particular, and I'm very proud to have initiated the revitalization of the old Poughkeepsie Railroad Bridge. Ah, yes. Poughkeepsie Railroad Bridge by drawing attention to its potential and securing the first public funds for what would eventually become the walkway over the Hudson. I tried to get this getting a lot of attention, and so one of the things that I did was to set up some public operations there, and we had press events coming in. Did some press events there on the railroad bridge, trying to get attention to it, to see that things would make it not just what it was, but to have people realize how strong, how effective this thing really is, and how a wonderful event it's going to be for people to be able to walk across it and enjoy it and get a better understanding and a better view of the Hudson River. So overall, I directly secured $1.34 million in federal funding for the project and helped deliver an additional $2.4 million through the 2008 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. The federal money combined with state and private contributions, namely through Robert Dyson's foundation, were used to create what has become the world's longest pedestrian bicycle bridge. The walkway has attracted more than 1.2 million visitors since operating to the public in 2009, and it will continue to do that. A lot of people are going to continue to enjoy it and look at it over there. And so I just want to express my deep gratitude and appreciation to Rob Dyson for his coming into this and providing substantial amounts of funding to get this thing working. I'm also very proud of all the many battles, big and small, that my office has fought on behalf of my constituents. Whether it's been securing Social Security benefits that were previously denied to seniors, resolving immigration and visa issues that reunited families, obtained medals for veterans who voluntarily served their country, nominating hundreds of young men and women to our service academies, or giving tours of the U.S. Capitol building and White House in Washington. My office has developed a first-rate reputation for its strong constituent casework. Again, none of this could have been achieved without the hard work of my staff. I thank you all very much. So while it's been a privilege to serve in the House for 2 decades, I never took this opportunity for granted and always understood that I needed to continue to earn the trust of voters every 2 years. Some of these campaigns were extremely close, while others were not really. Yeah, that was very kind. And enjoyable. But I could not have won those 10 races for Congress and 9 races for the Assembly without the hard work and dedication of my campaign supporters. Thank you very, very much. You and the rest of the campaign supporters are the ones who knocked on doors, made phone calls, displayed bumper stickers, and provided the financial resources that were necessary for me to get my message out. It was a wild ride, and I am very thankful for the time and energy that so many people put into my campaign over the years. While part of me is sad that there won't be another campaign this year, I am very much at peace with my decision and excited and ready for this next chapter in my life. At this time, I do not know exactly all I will do, but I plan to write, travel, spend more time with my family and friends. I also know that I plan to stay publicly active and will speak. I can't help that. And I will speak out in the many issues confronting our great nation. There is an extraordinary amount of work that needs to be done to improve our economy, help strengthen the middle class, protect the environment, safeguard civil liberties, and help shield our nation from various threats. All of these things are critically important and need to have a lot of attention and need to be done. They can't be taken for granted. It's time for someone else to fight those battles in Congress on behalf of the people I've proudly represented for 2 decades. But we'll continue to do whatever we can here in this set of circumstances. There will definitely be a transition for me to become a private citizen. But just like I've always encouraged my constituents to do, I will speak up and let my voice be heard on the many important issues of the day. An effective democracy is one in which the people stand up and fight for what they believe, and I will do just that. So I leave Congress with no regrets, but with a strong appreciation and love for this extraordinary institution, our democracy, and the people of our nation, particularly the people of this great district, who I love, admire, and respect very, very dearly. So for all of these things, I send to you my deep gratitude and appreciation. I thank you for all the things that you have done, everything that you have been involved in, and all the things that you have done to help me be stronger and more effective. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.